Hi, and online people, please confirm my voice is audible or not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so where are we in the database concepts? Okay, so we discuss about joins, and after that we thought to start with the sub-queries and it. But before going to the sub-queries, from the joins side, just I want to cover one more topic or with one more example and it. So already we completed the joins by discussing all the topics. Just I want to cover one example from the joins side by considering one common question as part of interviews. Only from the interview perspective, it's not from the real-time perspective. In the interviews, they're asking some common question in multiple interviews. That's the reason. First, I want to cover the topic. With that, we can go for the sub-queries. The example first here. So for example, see here we are having the table like this, employee table only. Here we are having the EAD column, ename column, DAD column, and country column. For example, in this table, we are having the one more column called as a MID column. Okay, and we are having some 10 records or 15 records like this. Now, see, for example, this is the data we are having in the table. So we are having the employee ID, employee name, department ID, country, and also we are having the one more column called as a managed ID column. So this is the way we are having the data in the table. Now my requirement is in my output screen, I want to get data for all the employee IDs, and I want to get data for employee name, and I want to get the data for manager name also. So this is the way I want to get the data as part of my requirement. So what I want to get? I want to get all the employee IDs. So what are the employee IDs we are having? These are the employee IDs we are having in this table. I want to get all the employee IDs. For all these employee IDs, what is the employee name? I'm having that employee name also. I want to get the employee name here. But tell me, as per our requirement, in the output, what I want to get? I want to get the manager name. But in the output, do we have any manager name column? Sorry, in the table. In the table, we don't have any manager name column. We are having the EAD column, ename column, DAD column, and country column, and MID column only. But we don't have any column called as a manager name column. But here my requirement is in the output, I want to populate data for the manager name column. Now try to understand what is the meaning of manager name here. For one, who is the manager? 5. If a person is working as a manager, obviously what will happen? That person is nothing but employee of the company. Now coming to employee ID 1, who is the manager? 5. He is the employee in the company. For 5, what is the name we are having? E, which is nothing but here I want to get output as a for 1, who is the manager name? I want to get output as E. So see, for example, for 1, who is the manager? 5. 5 is the manager, but before becoming the manager, what need to happen? He should be the employee in the company. So for that reason, for this 5 employee ID, what is the name we are having? E, which is nothing but we can able to say for 1, who is the manager? 5. What is the manager name? We can able to say E. This is the way I want to get the data. Now like this, you try to give the answer. For 2, what is the manager name? For 2, who is the manager again? 5. For 5, what is the name we are having? E. So I want to get output as a E only. Next 2 records also I want to get output as a E only. Now what about the 5 employee?
I,
Who is
sir.
the manager? 10.
10.
Coming to 10, what is the employee name we are having? I, which is nothing but for this person. Who is the manager? I. Okay, this is the way I want to get data for all the 10s. What about 14? Coming to 9th employee, 14th is the manager. Coming to 14, we are having the name as a M. So I want to get output as a M. M, right? 9, 14, 14 M, correct? Andy? So this is the way I want to get the data. Next record 15, I want to get output as a N. And next all are 17. So here I want to get output as a P. This is the way I want to get the data into my output screen. First to try to understand the requirement, then we'll think about the SQL query. As per the requirement, I want to get data for employee ID, employee name and manager name. And employee ID, employee name we are having in the table, no issues. But do we have any column called as a manager name here? No. For that reason, I am trying to explain what is the requirement of the manager name column. What is the requirement for employee ID 1? Who is the manager? 5. If a person is working as a manager, definitely he is the employee in the company. Now for this 5, we are having the employee ID. What is the employee name we are having? E. Indirectly for 1, who is the manager? 5. What is the manager name? We need to get output as a E. This is the way we need to get the data. Now this is the requirement. Before going to write the query, any questions on the requirement set, please ask me. Requirement is clear? Okay, if requirement is clear, now try to give the answer. How we can able to achieve the requirement here? If you want to achieve the requirement, how we need to achieve the requirement or what is the query we need to prepare? We saw the similar kind of example in the previous class, but at that time we discussed about one real-time example. Now this is the kind of a generic example. By considering the interviews, I'm telling this example here. Just by understanding the requirement, what activity we are going to perform. Now, as part of writing this entire whole output, in between what columns we are checking the data? We are checking data between employee ID column and MID column, or MID column and employee ID column. Based on that, I written this whole output manually in my output screen. And now indirectly here, I want to compare data between EID column and MID column. Now you tell me, this EID column and MID column, both the columns are present in the same table or different table?
Same table.
EID column and MID column, both the columns are present in the same table. Now, whenever you want to compare the two columns which are present in the same table, then what kind of join we need to apply?
Self-join.
Already we discussed about the same topic as part of the previous class, which is nothing but by using the self-join, we can able to achieve the requirement. Generally, we are going to have the employee table, department table. In the employee table, department ID column is there. In the department table, department ID column is there. If you want to join, then we are using the two different tables. That's the kind of a normal join. But in this example, I want to apply the condition between employee ID column and MID column. Now, both the columns are present in the same table. For that reason, here what kind of join we are going to apply? We are going to apply the join called as a self-join. But tell me, do we have any keyword called as a self-join? Earlier we discussed about the self-join. It's a concept as a keyword. It's just a concept only. As part of self-join, in the query we are giving it as a inner join, or we are giving the outer join, or we are giving the cross join. But only thing is nothing but, if you are applying the join on top of the same table, that we are calling it as a self-join. For example, I am going to give employee table, self-join, employee table. I am giving alias name as E2 here. Here I am giving alias name is, for example, E1. Now tell me, if I am going to run this query, what will happen? This query will execute. Do we have any keyword called as a self-join in the database side? No, this query will give the error. Okay. Now, for example, I am going to run the same query like this. I'm giving it as a E1 inner join with E2. Now tell me, this query will execute or not? Now it will execute, but tell me what type of join we are applying. We are applying the inner join as a keyword, but indirectly what type of join we are performing here? We are applying the join on top of the same table. For that reason, this kind of join simply we can able to call it as a self-join. As part of self-join, what is the keyword we are using here? We are using the keyword called as a inner join. And now in the same way, coming back to this requirement, I want to apply the join on the EID column and MID column. Now both the columns are present in the same table. For that reason, here we need to apply the self-join. Now you try to give the answer. How we can able to frame the query here? Select. What next? EID column, E-name column. What about the manager name column?
MID.
You want to get the same employee name, or you want to get the different name for the manager name? I want to get the same employee name. So what we can do here, I need to give it as a E-name as
manager.
manager underscore name. So indirectly in the select statement, we can able to pass the columns like this only. You want to get the ename only, but for that ename in the output, I want to display the column name as a manager name. For that reason, we are given the alias name like this. Okay. After that, from employee table, I'm giving alias name is, for example, E1. Next, I want to join with the same table. I'm giving alias name as, for example, E2. In between, we join. As per this requirement, I want to get the only match records on this. So for that reason, we are going to apply the inner join. Now, what is the condition we need to apply? On E1 dot
MID
ID is equal to E2 dot employee ID. Sorry, it's my mistake on this. Yeah, E2 dot employee ID. So this is the way. So simply, we are not doing anything newly only. Are we writing any new query? Whatever the join queries we are discussing from the beginning onwards, we are writing again the same query, table 1 join with the table 2, we are applying the on condition. Only thing is nothing but here, we are applying the join on top of the same table, except that we are not doing any new activity only. But tell me, if I'm going to run this query, it will execute or it will throw any error? See the query and try to give the answer. In the interviews, they will ask the questions like this also, Nandi. They will give one query to you. They will ask the question. Please tell me if I'm going to execute this query will work or not. First question. Second question, if this query is going to run, tell me what is the output we are going to get. These kind of questions also we can able to face as part of our interviews. And from that perspective, I'm asking if I'm going to run this query will execute or it will throw any error. It will throw error. What's the error?
We need to mention e.ead.
So see here, we are given the employee table again with the employee table. For first employee table, we are giving alias name as a E1. For the second table, we are giving alias name as a E2 and D. Internally, what will happen? It will consider this is the separate table. This is the separate table. Now in the E1 table, we are having the employee ID. In the E2 table also, we are having the employee ID. Automatically, what will happen? If I'm not given the alias name, it will give the error saying that your employee ID column is ambiguous error. And for that reason, how to overcome this error? Just we have to give the alias name. I'm giving E1.employee ID, for example, here. Here I'm giving E1.employee name. Then here I'm giving it as a E2.employee name, because one employee name I want to get from the first table, one employee name I want to get from the second table. That's the reason we are given the E1.ename, comma E2.ename. This is the way we can able to frame the query. Once we are going to run this query, what will happen? With this query, you can able to get the data. But tell me how this query is going to work in the internal database system. What will happen as we discussed in the previous examples? It will take the same table or it will take the different tables. Same table we will consider it as this is the E1 table and this is the E2 table. This is E1 and this is E2. After that, it is going to compare the employee ID with the manager ID of the second table, and it is going to compare the second record with the manager ID, third record with the manager ID. Like that, it is going to perform the same kind of operations, whatever we discussed as part of our previous classes in the join Sunday. But only thing is nothing but here, we are applying the join on top of the same table. For that reason, it is going to give the data as per our requirement. Here we are going to get the employee name, but this employee name only we are calling it as a manager name. Okay, this is the way simply we can able to frame the query for the purpose of achieving our requirement. Okay, now I will give the one more requirement. You try to give the answer here. For example, see, get all manager IDs who is having more than 3 employees as reportees. Actually, I think 2 days back in our class only someone asked this question, and in his interview, he faced this question. That's the reason I'm asking this question here. What is the requirement? I want to get all the manager IDs who is having more than 3 employees as reporting employees. First, tell me the data, and by seeing the data, try to give the answer. What is the output we are expecting? You want to get only manager IDs or you want to get any other data? I want to get only manager IDs. Now coming to 5 employees, how many employees are reporting? 4 employees. Here, what is the requirement? I want to get data for all the managers who is having the more than 3 employees as the reporting ID, which is nothing but I want to get one record as a 5. Next, coming to 10, how many employees are reporting indirectly? 4 employees. So I want to get this record also into my output, 10. Next, coming to 14. 3 employees, but you want to get the 3 employees reporting or more than 3 employees reporting? More than 3. So you want to get this record, you don't want to get this record. I don't want to get this record. What about 15? Only 1 employee, don't get it. What about 17? More than 3 employees. So I want to get output as a 17. So this is the way I want to get the data. Now you try to give the answer. What is the query we have to frame in this example?
Sir,
First question, understood the requirement or any confusion on the requirement? Requirement is clear, right? Now try to give the answer. How we can able to get this output as part of this requirement?
select
What we need to compare?
We need to use count, sir. Count.
Count
We need
of
to use
having
count.
count greater than 1.
Having count greater than 1, okay? Where we need to apply the having count greater than 1?
At the last on condition of this.
if you want to use having, first of all, we have to use group by, right? If you
Tell me, no, tell me first question. Do we need to go for the joins or without going for joins, we can able to achieve this requirement?
without
Without joins, we can
without
actually.
joins, we can.
Okay.
In
Offline
the
people,
one
any
table.
answer? We need to go for the joins or without using the joins only can we able to achieve this requirement here? Yes, so see here, indirectly what I'm asking, Andy, in the MID column, wherever we are having the same record more than 3 times, I want to get such kind of record. So what I can do here, simply select, I can give MID column from employee table. What next? Where?
Group by
Group by, okay. Group by
MID.
MID having count of star
Greater than 1.
greater than
3.
or not 3 now.
Three.
Greater than 3
Three.
because why we are given the 3 and D? If same record is repeating more than 3 times, then only I want to get such kind of records on top of my output. So this is the query simply we can able to frame. Indirectly we'll try to understand how this query is going to execute and D. So if you are going to apply the group by MID, what will happen? It is grouping all the values of the MID. How many groups we are having here? 5 is a group, 10 is a group, and 14 is a group, and 15 is a group, and 17 is a group. Like this, we are having the total 5 different groups. And after grouping, what will happen? It is going to perform the counting operation. Now, in each and every group, it is going to verify the number of records. And coming to 5, how many records we are having? We are having 4. Coming to 10, how many records we are having? 4. Coming to 14, I think only 3. 15 is having 1, and 17 is having 5. So this is the number of records we are having. After counting, what we are applying? Count of star should be greater than 3. Now, out of all these records only, where we are having the more than 3 records, 5 is having more than 3, 10 is having more than 3, 17 is having more than 3. With that, what will happen? This query will give output as a only these 3 records on top of your output. Indirectly here, internally it will take the MID column and count of star. On top of this, it is going to apply the filter condition. By using the filter condition, it is going to give only these 3 records on top of your output. This is the way for this requirement you can able to frame the SQL statement. Okay. Now, why I am giving this example here? Very simple, Andy. After discussing this example, some people in the interviews, whenever interviewer is given the employee ID column and MID column, immediately they are thinking that we need to go for the self-join. Don't think that for every requirement we need to go for the self-join. And first we need to understand the requirement, analyze the requirement. Then we need to think about we need to go for the self-joins or we need to use the direct query like this. And in this query, do we need to go for self-join? It's not required. Okay. But this is the problem. In the class, when we are discussing this example, people are doing a very well practice and everything. In the interview, whenever interviewer is given the table structure with EID and MID, immediately what will happen in your brain? Okay, so give the answer with the self-join. Not at all thinking what is the requirement, not at all thinking what is happening, Andy. So they are going to give the same structure with the EID column and MID column, but don't think that for every requirement we are going to use the self-join, Andy. Here you need to analyze the requirement, understand the requirement. Based on that, you have to give the answer by using the self-join or by using any other approach as part of giving our answers. Andy. Now, for the previous requirement, compulsory we have to go for the self-join. Without applying the self-join, we cannot able to achieve the requirement. But coming to this example, without having any joins, only by having the group by and having class, we can able to achieve the requirement. Just these 2 are the examples I want to give from the interview perspective. Andy. Any questions on these 2 questions, please ask me here. Any confusions or questions on these 2 questions? And I can able to say this is the one of the common interview question, Andy. This is one of the common interview question. Any questions up to here, please ask me. Yeah, you can do by using the self-join, but really is it required? It's not required. Okay. So for example, someone is asking the question, can we able to achieve the second requirement by using the self-join? So what we can do here? if you want, you can copy the same query here. Here, instead of all these things, what I will do, I will apply only e2.mid column. After that, at the end, what we have to do? Just we have to apply group by having count of star greater than 3. Same query, and you can able to use the same query. Only thing is nothing but in the select statement, I don't want to have all the columns. I want to have only one column as per the requirement. For that reason, we are applying the e2.mid. With that, we are applying the group by having group by which column? Sorry. e2.mid column. Group by column name having count of star greater than 1. With this also you can able to frame the query, but by using this query, if you can able to achieve the requirement, why unnecessarily we need to introduce the joins? Now tell me in between both the queries and which query will give the best performance? In this query, what we are applying? We are applying the join, we are applying the group by, we are applying the count. But in this query, we are applying group by and we are applying the only count operation. Now you tell me, compared to this query and this query, which query will give the best performance actually? Obviously, this query. If there is no requirement, no need to go for the joins and it. But if you want to write the query by using the joins, we can able to write the query. Then this is the way we need to write the query by depending on our convenience. It's clear? Okay. Another question, Steve? Okay. If no questions, we'll see one more example on it.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
actually, maybe this is the old question, sir.
Then we'll discuss at the end of the class.
I'm getting confusion on that one, sir. Vertical and horizontal. Because can you please give one more example details, sir? Please, if you don't mind.
Already we discussed multiple examples, Andy.
Yes,
So
sir,
what's
I have
the
revised the video as well, but still I'm in confusion mode. Vertical and
no? What is the confusion you are having? Now
So,
someone is
see-
asking the question. What is the vertical and what is the horizontal? So did anyone else having the confusion on this vertical and horizontal? No, if you can tell me what is the confusion, then I can able to clarify. Otherwise, even if I'm giving the one more example, we will get the same confusion.
Okay.
Or we'll discuss at the end of the class. Is it fine?
For sets, sets and joints, we are having different, right? Vertical is one for that one.
Yeah, correct. So we are going to use the set operators.
Yeah.
To perform which operations? To perform vertical merging operation. Okay. And we are using the joins for what? To perform horizontal merging operation. Okay. This is the topic we discussed in the previous classes. If what is your confusion, if you can able to tell me, I can able to help you.
See, like sets is nothing but we are operating on vertical, you are saying.
Yes.
But for the sets, the column wise and the data types as well, it should be same for both, whether using.
Yeah, that we discussed already. So as part of the rules of the set operators, we discussed already. Whenever you want to apply the union operator or minus operator or intersect operator, in between both the queries, what need to happen? We need to maintain the same number of columns. We need to maintain the same number of data types. And in between the query, can we able to apply the order by clause? For example, I'm giving select star from employee table 1. After that, I'm giving union operator and I'm giving select star from employee 2. For example, this is the query I'm writing, Andy. Now, if this query has to run, if you want to run this query, in between both the tables, we need to maintain the same number of columns or we need to maintain the different number of the columns. In between both the tables, we have to maintain the same number of columns, and in between both the tables, all the column data types should match. Other than that, we discuss about one more rule, and which is nothing but in this query, I'm giving the order by employee ID. Now you tell me this query will execute, it will give any error.
No, sir.
Other people try to give the answer. This query will execute and it will give any error. It will give the error because whenever we are using the set operators, compulsory where we have to give the order by clause.
At the last.
You have to give the order by clause only at the end of the query. Otherwise, what will happen? That query will give the error. Okay. Already we discussed about all these rules as part of the previous classes.
Yes, sir. But the thing is like when to decide. So like we need to decide in vertical while getting this, and for joints horizontal. That is the
someone is asking when to decide. Yeah, you only tell me when to decide. How to decide this one?
That is like
our own or as per the requirement. Everything is depending on the requirement. So see here, as first you need to analyze the requirement. You need to understand the requirement. For example, if you see this example only, as per this example, on top of the same table, you want to perform the merging operation, but you want to get the data vertically 30 records or you want to get the data horizontally.
Horizontally.
So who will tell the information? So we need to understand the requirement. We need to analyze the requirement. By applying our analytical skills, we need to understand whether you want to perform the operation vertically or you want to perform the operation horizontally, horizontally. And in the requirement document, nowhere they are going to specify do merging operation vertically. do merging operation horizontally. Nowhere they will specify this kind of information. They will give the requirement. We need to understand the requirement. With our analytical skills, you need to understand you want to perform merging operation vertically or horizontally. Based on that, you need to decide whether we need to go for set operators or joins.
Sir, can you please highlight in colors like horizontal and vertical one, like in the table which you have given outside?
Where and this one?
No, no, the above table that you have given MID also. Can you please highlight with color what is horizontal, vertical, how to achieve that?
No, here in this example, we are doing the only horizontal operation. What is the vertical operation we are doing in this example? Now we'll do one thing, and after the class we'll discuss. Okay?
Sure, sir.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay.
Helpful.
Or any other people are having the same confusion between the set operators and joins? Now, if multiple people are having the confusion, then we can discuss about this topic. Otherwise, we can go for the next topic.
So that means is at row level or column level, that way
Can you repeat that?
the set operators will go as a row level.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
The
Vertical matching in the thing is going to apply at the row level. Joins are the thing is going at the column level indirectly. That's not a straight answer, it's a kind of an indirect answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll discuss one more example. So whomever raised this question, so please stay in the online after completion of the class. If you want, we can have a 5 more minutes discussion and I will clarify your doubts. Instead of wasting all the people time, we'll discuss separately. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. That's a real help. Yeah, fine.
Okay, no problem. Just 1 second. Okay, now for example, this is the table we are having. Just I'm adding one more column as a salary column. Now from this table, my requirement is I want to get the max salary from this table or first highest salary. What is the query we can able to frame? I want to get the first highest salary data. So what we can do?
Select max salary
Max of sal
from EMP.
from EMP table. So this is the simple query already we discussed, Randy. But by using this query, what will happen? You are going to get the maximum salary from this table. So I am going to get output is nothing but salary, which is nothing but 5,000. Okay. But my requirement is I don't want to get the output like this. My requirement is I want to get data for get highest salary employee details. This is the requirement. So what is the requirement? Get highest salary employee details. What is the meaning of employee details? I want to get employee ID, employee name, department ID, country, salary, all the information I want to get indirectly. As per this requirement, I want to get data for all these columns and I want to get this record into my output. Just 1 second. Yeah, now tell me. Select
star from
Select star from
EMP. Where
where
saying EAD, ENAME, DAD, country, max salary, as sal, for example, because I want to get the sal as a column name. Okay, what next? From employee. Okay, you want to apply the group by 1 second. Group by what? I'm giving the EAD, ENAME, DAD, country. What next?
So no need of group by because we need only one.
Yeah, we'll discuss that. So someone is giving the answer by using the group by. Just I want to clarify them. So why it is not going to work? I'm taking the both positive answers and negative answers. If it is a wrong answer, then I need to explain why it is not going to work, right? That's why I'm typing this one. So someone is saying that we need to give the group by. You want to give the salary column or you don't want to give the salary column? Okay. So I will give the query up to here. Now tell me first question. This query, if I'm going to execute, how many number of records we are going to get? Our first question, this query will execute or not?
No. It will execute, but we will get all the call rows.
First
yeah,
question.
it will execute.
See whether this query is correct or not. I'm not asking any. This query is the wrong answer or correct answer. That's not my question. If I am going to execute this query will work or not?
It will work by giving all the
answer is yes. Because so see here, as per the syntax, Andy, in the select statement, whatever the columns we are giving all the columns into the group by class. EAD, ENAME, DAD, country, we are giving all the columns in the group by class. For that reason, this query will work. But in the output screen, For example, if I'm going to run this query, how many number of records we are going to get?
5 record.
How
Five
many
records.
records? This query will give output as a simply 5 records. What's the reason? We are applying the group by in the combination of how many columns and EID column, ename column, DID column, and country column, which is nothing but what is the meaning of grouping? It will group all the similar values. Now you tell me, in the combination of all these 4 columns and how many similar values we are having? Or do we have any similar values?
No.
This is a separate value, 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 and this is also a separate value. Indirectly, in the combination of all these columns and how many groups we are having total? 5 groups. Now in each and every group, what will happen? It will take the max salary. Indirectly, if I'm going to run this query, what will happen? It will give output as a 5 records only. But our requirement is, I want to get the 5 records or I want to get the only 1 record. I want to get only 1 record. So by considering that, is the correct query or wrong query?
We
This is
should
the
not
wrong
use
query. I can
group
able to
by.
say wrong query from output perspective. I can able to say syntax wise everything correct only, but from the output perspective, I can able to say this is the simply wrong query. Then what is the correct query?
Select star from EMP where salary is equals to select max of salary from EMP. Like
So
we
for
have to
example,
write the
I am
sub-query
giving
here.
select star from EMP table. I am given the condition as simply where salary is equal to 5,000. Tell me, are we going to get this output or not?
Yes.
I am given the simple condition salary is equal to 5,000. But sir, why you are giving the 5,000? Why I am giving? Because that is the maximum salary. So I'm giving that value as a 5,000 here. With that, we can able to get the output simply like this only. But what is the problem with this query? We are having the only 5 records. Because of having the only 5 records, simply we can able to say this is the 5,000 is the highest salary. With that, we can able to frame the query like this only. But in the real time, we are going to deal with the 5 records or we are going to deal with the lakhs of records.
Lakhs of
Lakhs of
we
records.
cannot
For that reason,
perform.
we cannot able to pass the hardcode values like this only. Now, instead of giving the hardcode value, what I'm doing here is, what is the meaning of 5,000? It's a maximum
Max
salary.
salary.
What is the query we need to write to get the maximum value?
Max.
Select
Select
max
give
of
max of sal from
from
EMP table. Now, if I'm going to run the query up to here, select max of sal from EMP table, what will happen? You can able to get the output value as a 5,000. That 5,000 I want to give input to the one more query. For that reason, what I will do here is just I will give the brackets like this only. What I'm doing, select star from EMP table where salary is equal to select max of salary from employee table. Indirectly, within the single query, how many queries we are writing? We are writing outside one query, within the bracket one more query. Outside the bracket, whatever the query we are writing, that query we can able to call it as a outer query. Inside the query, whatever the query we are writing, that we can able to call it as an inner query, or that only we can able to call it as a sub-query. Already given the high level information as part of the previous class only, but just this is a one more example. So what we can do here, simply we can give it as a outer, we can able to call it as a outer query. Outside the bracket, whatever the query we are having, that we can able to call it as a outer query, and inside the query, whatever the query we are having, that we can able to call it as a inner query, or we can able to call it as a sub-query. But here main important thing we need to understand how it will work internally.
First, it will execute the
First,
sub-query
max salary,
on
then
top
it-
of that output.
What is the step one? We can able to say it will run inner query first, and it will populate output. Where it will populate output? Internally or externally?
internally.
Internally only it will populate the output, and after that,
Yeah,
by
based
using
on
step
that
one
output, the outer query will execute.
by using step one output, our
Output will be
outer query will execute and will give the result. Where it is given the result, internally or externally?
externally.
It will give the result externally and indirectly try to give the answer as part of outer query and inner query. Which query will give the data in the output screen?
Outer
Outer
query.
query. Why inner? What is the purpose of the inner query? Inner query will execute. It is giving some data. That data is going as input to your outer query. Outer query will execute. It is given the data. That data is coming on top of your output screen. This is the way we need to understand how sub-queries we need to frame, or what is the purpose of the sub-query, or how this query is going to work in our internal database system. Okay. Now just I will give one more example. Try to give the answer. So might be some people are feeling All these are basic queries. I know all these things, Andy. So slowly we'll go to the advanced concepts, Andy. First, other people also need to understand basic things first. For that reason, I'm giving the basic example. After 5-10 minutes, I will give other query. For those queries, try to give the answer if you are thinking like that. Okay, now see, for example, this is the data we are having in the both the tables. Same old example only. Okay, now my requirement is I want to get the data for get employee details whose department IDs are present in department table. Try to understand the requirement and try to give the answer in how many ways we can able to achieve this query. First question, as per the requirement, what is the data we are expecting in the output? See, for any requirement, first understand what is the output, and with that easily you can able to frame the query. What is the requirement? Get employee details whose department IDs are present in the department table. That is the requirement. Now, as per the requirement, what is the output we are expecting here?
In the department.
I want to get employee details. What is the meaning of employee details? You want to get the department name, or you want to get only employee details? I want to get only employee details, and which is nothing but I want to get the output data for these columns. But which employee IDs you want to get? Whose department IDs are present in the department table? 10 is present in the department table, so I want to get these two records. 20 present in the department table, I want to get these two records. What about 40?
No.
Do we have this record here? No, right? For that reason, I don't want to get this record into my output screen. Now, as per the requirement, this is the output I want to get it. And now you tell me how we can able to frame the query here.
Select start from EMP where DID in select star
So somebody is saying that select star from EMP. Okay, what next?
where
Where?
DID in
DID in
Select inner query. Select.
Inner chain we need to
DID
mention.
from department.
Okay, so someone is giving the answer like this, Sunday. Select star from EMP table. With the select star from EMP table, what will happen? It will give all the columns of your employee table, which is nothing but we are going to get all the 5 columns, Sunday. But you want to get all the records, or you want to get the specific records? I want to get only the specific records. Which records you want to get? Whose department IDs are present in the department table? For example, if you want, what we can do here is we can able to frame the query like this. Select star from EMP table where department ID in 10, 20, 30. So why we are giving the 10, 20, 30? Because whose department IDs are present in the department table, I want to get that information. So in the department table, which department IDs we are having? 10, 20, 30. For that reason, I am giving the query like where department ID in 10, 20, 30. But what is the problem again here? Because of having the small amount of data, we are giving the values manually. But if you are going to deal with the thousands of records or lakhs of records only, in that situation, can we able to pass all these values manually like this? No, right? But if you want to replace this, what we can do here? What is the meaning of 10, 20, 30? Those are nothing but department IDs. But from which table we are comparing this data? From the department table, we are comparing this data. Now, instead of giving all these values, hardcode values, what we can do? We can able to replace all these hardcode values with the help of the SQL query. Now, you tell me, if I'm given the selected DID from department table, what's the values we are going to get? 10, 20, 30. Indirectly, instead of giving the hardcode values, only we can able to frame the query like this. Now, again, what we are doing in the same query, we are going to apply the 2 different queries. One is the outer query, one is the inner query. This is the way. One more example we can able to discuss on top of your sub-queries. Okay, but here my requirement is without using the sub-query, I want to achieve this requirement. Or before going to that, any confusion on this query, please ask me. Is it clear? Sir, why we are writing the query like this? I am not writing the query like this, and just for your understanding, I am giving the hardcode values. Once you can able to understand this, then what we can do here, instead of giving the hardcode values, with the help of the sub-query, we can able to frame the query as part of writing our requirement. Now, my question is, without applying the sub-query, is there any other option to achieve the same requirement?
Yes, sir.
With
We can go
inner
with
chain.
points.
Indirectly, what I'm asking here, in between both the tables, I want to compare the data. By using what column you want to compare?
DID.
By using department ID column, I want to compare. As part of comparison, you want to get only matched records, or you want to get the unmatched records also?
Only matched to
The
the
department IDs
Only.
are present in the department table. Indirectly, I want to get the only matched records only. So what we can do here indirectly? Try to give the answer. Select
join.
star from EMP table
as
E.
inner join
I want to get only match record. So what we can do? We can apply the
Inner join.
inner join and
department
give in
D.
D. After that, on condition, what's the condition? E
On
dot department ID
E
is
dot
equal to
department ID
D
is
dot
equal to D dot
department ID.
department ID.
This is the way simply we can able to frame the query. But tell me, is it the correct query?
We
No.
don't need
If I'm given the
EM2
star, how many columns we are going to get?
all
get all the
columns.
columns.
4 plus
Oh,
2, 6
and
and
then-
D.
Both.
But I want to get only
E
employee details. So what I can do?
Instead
E
of
dot
star,
star.
we can pass E
Star,
dot
we
dot
give it
star.
as a E dot
E
star.
dot
What is the
star.
meaning of E dot star? And it will give all the columns of your employee table.
Okay.
If you want, you can able to achieve the same requirement by using the joins, or we can able to achieve the same requirements with the help of the sub-query. Same query we can able to achieve by using the multiple approaches, and either by using sub-query or by using the inner joins, we can able to achieve the same requirement. Any question on top of this question also, please ask me here. Or any confusion on top of this requirement? Indirectly, what we are trying to understand? We are trying to understand how we need to frame the queries with the help of the sub-queries, and you need to understand the requirement. Once you understand the requirement, with that, just I'm giving the hard code values query. Again, this also I'm giving for understanding purpose. After that, we are converting. Instead of giving the hard code values, what I'm doing here, I am giving the query instead of giving the hard code value. With that, you can able to achieve the requirement. Whenever we are using the more than one query within the single query, such kind of queries only we can able to call it as a sub-queries. Now in this query, what is the outer query? Select star from employee table is a kind of a outer query. What is the inner query? Select DID from department table. This we can able to call it as a inner query, and this is the way we can able to understand how we can able to frame the sub-queries by depending on our requirement. Okay. Now in the same way, we'll see one more example. Get second highest salary from employee table. Old batch students, please don't give the answer. New batch students, please try to give the answer. What is my requirement? I want to get second highest salary into my output screen, and tell me as per the requirement, what is the data we need to populate? Output. You want to get all the columns, or you want to get only salary column? I want to
Only
get
salary
only
column.
salary column. In the salary column, what is the data we are expecting?
4,000.
Second highest salary, which is nothing but
4,000.
this is the first highest salary, this is the second highest salary. I want to get output as a 4,000. Now this is the way I want to get the data only. Now you try to give the answer. New batch people, if you want to achieve this requirement, what is the query we need to frame? Can I give select max of salary from the table? Can I give select max of sal from table? If I'm going to run this query, what will happen? It is going to give the first highest salary, but my requirement is I want to get the second highest salary, and so try to give the answer. First, try to give the hard code value answer. What I can do, for example, see, I'm giving the condition as where salary not equal to 5,000. What will happen? Try to give no answer now. Salary not equal to 5,000. I'm giving in the where condition. What it means? As part of running the query, it is going to ignore this 5,000. It is taking all the records wherever not equal to 5,000, and not equal to 5,000. How many records we are having? 4 records. Out of these 4 records, it is going to perform the max of salary operation. With that, what will happen? Automatically, you can able to get the second highest salary. With this query, you can able to get the value. But given the hard code value is a good option or bad option? It's a bad option. Now I want to replace this 5,000. How to replace the 5,000? Indirectly, what is the meaning of this 5,000 here? This is the first highest salary. So I'm giving it as a select max of sal from employee table. I want to ignore the first highest salary. I want to consider the remaining records. From those records, I want to get the highest salary, that I am calling it as a second highest salary. But tell me how we can able to ignore the first highest salary record? By giving the condition called as a salary not equal to. But how to get the first highest salary? We are given the query called as a select max of sal from employee table. Indirectly, how this query will execute, only it will execute inner query first. With the inner query, we are getting output as a 5,000. On top of this 5,000, it is applying the condition called as a salary not equal to 5,000. With that, you are going to get data for 4,000 on top of your output screen. Okay. Now immediately some people will ask the question, sir, how I can able to get the 10th highest salary? If you want to follow this kind of approach, how many number of sub-queries we have to prepare? you have to prepare 9 sub-queries and query within the sub-query, within the sub-query, within the sub-query. You have to prepare 8 to 9 sub-queries. With that, we can able to achieve the requirement. But tell me, writing multiple sub-queries in the same query is a good option or bad option again? It's a bad option from the performance perspective. And execution wise, you can able to write any number of sub-queries and queries will execute. But from the performance perspective, whenever we are going to use the more number of sub-queries, automatically what will happen? That query will take the good amount of time from the performance perspective. For that reason, to achieve this kind of requirements, we are having kind of the function called as a Windows functions. We'll discuss this topic separately. And if you want to get the 10th highest salary or 100th highest salary or 1000 highest salary, we can able to write the query within the single line. But if you want to achieve that kind of requirement, what we have to do here, we need to use the Windows function. With the Windows function within the single line, you can able to achieve the requirement. But again, that is a separate topic. We'll discuss about the topic in the coming classes. Okay. Now just I will give one more example. Try to give the answer from the sub-queries. Okay, so for example, say this is the way I'm having the data. Now my requirement is I want to get data for see here on it. So now my requirement is I want to load the data into the target table. In the target table, I want to load the data like this. Try to understand the difference. I don't want to display the output. What is my requirement? I want to load the data into my target table. In the target table, how you want to load the data? I want to get the student ID, student name, and whatever the marks we are having here horizontally, I want to convert that whole data into vertically like this. And first 101 access, I want to get 3 records. What's the records? 101 access, 1000 marks, first record. 101 access, 2000. This is the second record. Same 101 access, I want to get the value as a 3000. This is the way. One record I want to split into the 3 records, and indirectly we are converting horizontal data into the vertical format. In the same way, what is the second record? 102YY 4000, 102YY 5000, 102YY 6000. This is the way I want to get the data into my output screen. Now you try to give the answer. How we can able to load the data like this into my target table. Same example I remember we discussed in the previous classes. But in the previous classes I told that I want to get the output. But now my requirement is I want to load the data into my target table. For that, what is the query we need to prepare? Sir, loading is different. We'll display the only output. Will you give the answer like that? I don't want to display the output. I want to load the data. So if you want to load the data, what is the query we can able to prepare?
Right.
So indirectly what we have to do? First, we need to convert this whole data into the vertical format. And after converting the data into the vertical format, then we can able to think about how we need to perform the loading operation. So what we can do first? What is the query? Select student ID, comma, student name, comma, marks. Sir. Do we have any marks column in the student table?
Yes, when
M1
M1
as marks from student table. After that, select student ID, comma, student name, comma, M2 as marks from student table. Select
student ID, student name.
Okay, so this is the way we can able to frame the 3 different queries. And first query will give the 2 records, second query will give the 2 records, third query will give the 2 records. In between all these queries, what we can do? We can able to apply the union operator, and here also we can apply the union operator. With that, automatically you can able to get the data like this. But tell me, with this query, we are loading the data, we are displaying the data. I am displaying the data, but my requirement is I want to load the data into my target table like this. What we can do?
The insert
Insert
Yesterday, what we did in the
target.
summary table and in the real-time example in the BigQuery, what we did? Insert into which table?
name.
Student underscore target table. After that, just pass the select statement like this. With this, what will happen? This is the select statement overall. With this, we are getting this output. This data simply I want to load into my target table. Whenever you want to load the data, simply what we can do here in the database side, we can give the query called as a insert into the target table. After that, we are giving the select statement. With this query, whatever the output we are getting until that data we are loading into my target table. Is it clear? Now, if it is clear, for example, see, you loaded the data into the target table. Now, my requirement is I want to verify. So this is the first requirement we completed. Now, second requirement is verify data in student underscore target table as per the business requirement. So what is the requirement here? I want to display the data, or I want to load the data, or I want to verify the data. I want to verify the data. Where you want to verify the data? In the target table, you want to verify the data. But on what basis I want to verify the data? As per the business requirement, I want to verify the data. What is the business requirement? Previous question. What is the requirement? Load the data from this table to this table in the vertical direction. That is the business requirement. I want to verify the data in the target table as per the business requirement. Data loaded properly or not into my target table. That is my requirement, and I want to do this operation. Now, question is, as part of verification, I want to verify the data and I want to verify number of records are loaded properly or not. As part of verification, what we have to do here, I want to verify the data in the target table. Second thing, as per the requirement, I want to verify whether number of records are loaded properly or not into the target table. Tell me, as per the requirement here, how many records we are expecting to load into the target table? How many records we are expecting to load into the target table? We are expecting total 6 records. Okay. Now, for example, by mistake or intentionally, in the target table, we loaded the 8 records. There are some kind of chances we can able to see the more records or less number of records, and that's the reason my client is saying, or my manager is saying, or my team lead is saying that, can you please verify the data in the target table? Data is matching or not? At the same time, number of records are matching or not as per my requirement. That is the question, or that is the requirement, and now tell me how we can able to do this operation by writing the SQL queries. First, we'll verify the data. So to verify the data, what is the query we have to prepare?
Select star from a student target table.
Someone is saying select star from student underscore target table. Okay, what next? Which operator we can able to use to compare data between the 2 different tables? Already we discussed earlier, and this also we are going to use the minus operator. Now, above one is the target table query. Now, what is the source query we need to write? As per the requirement, whatever the query we need to prepare, that query we can able to call it as a source query. Already we discussed about the query here, and so what is the query here? This is the query on top of the source table we are writing. Now, as part of doing the comparison, what we are doing here, I want to frame this kind of query. With this query, we are getting some kind of output. That output I want to compare with the target table. That is the reason we have to write the query like this, Sandy. Now, you tell me, out of this entire query, what is the source query and what is the target query? What is the source query and what is the target query?
Below one is the source, student is the source, student target is the.
Just for your understanding, I am giving it the different colors like this, Sandy. So this query, above one, I am calling it as a source query, and below one, we are calling it as a, sorry, above one, we are calling it as a target query. Below one, I am calling it as a source query. Sir, why you are calling like this? What's the reason? See, in this query, which table we are using? We are using the target table or source table. We are using the target table. That's the reason this query I am calling it as a target query. But tell me, in this query, which table we are using? We are using the source table. For that reason, this query I am calling it as a source query. Now, on top of which query we are applying the business requirement? In the source query or in the target query, we are applying the business requirement.
Target.
the source query, we are applying the business requirement. And if you observe here, on top of the source table, we are applying the business requirement. With that, we are framing the query like this. And this output, I want to compare with the target table output. For that reason, we are given the source query minus target query. But here question is it the correct query or wrong query? In the same query, we are using the minus and union operators. Is the correct query or wrong query? Any guesses? If I'm going to run this query will give the error only. So what we have to do here is we need to open the bracket and we need to close the bracket here, because here we are using the 3 different queries here. For that reason, we need to pass this entire query within the bracket like this. Then only we can able to say this is a kind of a proper query. And otherwise, in the same query, if you are going to use the minus operator and union operator, that query will give the different kind of the output. For that reason, to avoid that, what I'm doing here, I am given the whole source query in the bracket. With that, we can able to say this is the source query and this is the target query. Now tell me, by using this query, we are going to perform the data validations or we are going to perform the count validations? By using this query, I am performing the only data validation because we are given the star. What is the meaning of star? It will give the data, which is nothing but by using this query, what validation we are performing? We are performing the data validations only. But now my requirement is I want to perform the count validations also. Now what we need to do? I want to perform the count validations between source table to target table as per the requirement. What is the meaning of count validation? In the target table, how many records we are having? 6. In the source table, actually, how many records we are having? 2. But you want to compare the count by depending on the requirement or without applying the requirement. By applying the requirement on the source table, I want to compare the count only. Now, once we are going to apply the requirement on top of the source table, how many records we are expecting? 6, which is nothing but I want to compare source count and target count, which is nothing but 6 minus 6. Tell me, what is the output of 6 minus 6?
0.
0. Perfectly wrong answer. What is the output of 6 minus 6?
6 only need to get.
Someone is saying 6 only. Again, this is the one more interview question. This is also wrong answer. Nalla?
Empty.
Nalla also wrong answer. You are saying something? Yeah, someone is saying empty set, or which is nothing but 0 records. Okay, so out of these 4 options, which is the correct answer? You can able to say this is the correct answer. And so see here, it is not performing arithmetic operation. Okay, what it is doing here? It is comparing the records. 6 and 6 both are the matched records. If both are matched records, what will happen? It will give output as a 0 number of records. It's not giving output as a 0. It is giving output as a 0 number of records. So with that, we can able to say this query will give this kind of output on top of your output screen. Now, for example, just for example, Andy, first query given the value as a 7. We are applying the minus operator. Then I'm given the 6. Now tell me what's the output? What is the output? One record or one value?
It will display one record.
What's the value? What's the value for that record?
Like
So the record.
One record or one value?
One record.
So most of the people are saying that one record. What is that record? What is that unmatched record? I'm asking.
That
See, 7 is a record and 6 is a record. You are saying the unmatched record. What is the unmatched record?
Source.
Obviously 7. So we are getting output as a 7 because it is comparing the first query output with the second query output. What is the first query output? I'm saying 7. What is the second query output? 6. It is comparing 7 with 6. As part of comparing, it is given the unmatched records from the first query. What is the first query output? 7, which is nothing but if I'm going to run this query, what will happen? It is giving output as a 7. Don't assume that 7 records only. It's given the only one record. What is the record value it is giving? It is given the value as a 7. Okay. In the same way, for example, 10 minus 8. What's the output? Might be your feeling is a very simple thing, but as part of interviews, most of the people will get the wrong answer. And this is the single question we can able to identify whether you are a fake employee or real-time employee, because as part of real-time projects, most of the times we are going to use the minus operator. For what reason? To perform Validations.
Testing.
How we are going to perform the validations? By using minus operator. Now, if you are the real-time employee, regularly we are going to perform the data loading operations. Regularly, you are going to perform the validations. If you are doing that operation regularly, obviously what need to happen? You should have in-depth knowledge on the minus operator. Now, when I'm asking this question, if you are given the answer, it is given the output as a 0. Instead of saying it as a 0 record, you are saying that it is given the 0 value. With a single question, we can able to identify you are a kind of a real-time employee or peak employee. And some people are given the answer. If I am given the 7 minus 6, what is the output? People are given the answer as a 1. They are thinking this is a kind of a arithmetic operator. But tell me, it's arithmetic operator, it's a kind of a set operator. It's a set operator. Now, in the same way, you try to give the answer now. What is the 10 minus 8? It's giving output as a 10 or 2.
10.
Output as a 10 because it is given the unmatched record. Okay, don't assume that it's the arithmetic operator. It's given the unmatched record from the first query, and for that reason, it is given the value called as a 10. Okay, now in the same way, here my requirement is all these are basics, and now my requirement is on top of this requirement, I want to perform the count check. Now tell me how we need to perform the count check. Or before going to the count check, any confusions up to here, please ask me. Then we'll go to the count check. Up to here, any confusions?
Yes, sir.
No, 1 second. Just 1 second. Offline people are asking one question. Just 1 minute. Column minus column is nothing but. So you want to give select EID from EMP table. Oh, okay, 1 second. Select student ID from EMP table. 1 second, typing. Minus select student ID from target. Okay, now what is the question? Can we run the query like this or not? That's the question. Yeah, we can run the query like this, but you won't tell me. If I'm going to run this query, for example, someone is asking a question like this, and on top of this table and this table, we are going to frame the query like this. What is the query here? Select student table minus select student ID from the student target table. Now you people try to give the answer. If I'm going to run this query, what is the output we are going to get?
0 records.
What is the output of first query? Select the student ID from the student table. What is the output? It is taken the value as a 101, 102. What is the output of the second query? Select the student ID from the student target table. In this table, how many records we have in total? 6 records. Okay. Now, in between both the outputs, we are applying the minus operator. Now, you tell me if I'm going to run this query by using this output, what is the output we are going to get?
Empty table, empty.
We are getting output as a
0
empty records or empty set, or we can able to call it as a 0 records. What's the reason? As part of minus operator, it is comparing first query output with the second query output. As part of comparing, if there are any unmatched records, what will happen? Only those records are coming in the output. 101 is a matched record, 102 is a matched record. For that reason, this query is giving output as a 0 number of records.
Instead of union, we can evaluate like.
Sir, come again. Instead of
checking the union, we can evaluate like.
No. Here, if you want, you can able to validate like that only. But tell me here, if you are going to validate like this, is the correct one. Here you are verifying the only student ID column, but you want to verify the only student ID column, or you want to verify data for all the columns in the target table. I want to verify all the columns. Okay, we are not going to verify only student ID column only. I want to verify data for all the columns. For that reason, this is not a correct query for the purpose of doing the validation. This is the way we cannot able to frame the query. Is it clear? Okay. Online people, someone trying to ask the question, please continue now.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు మనం మైనస్ ఆర్ ఎక్సెప్ట్ యూజ్ చేసినప్పుడు సో సోర్స్ లో ఉన్న డేటా విత్ అది టార్గెట్ లో ఉన్న డేటాతో కంపేర్ చేసుకొని అంటే ఆ రికార్డ్ కౌంట్ అనేది ఏదైతే మ్యాచ్ అవ్వదో అది మాత్రమే డిస్ప్లే అవుతుంది కదా.
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ కరెక్ట్. It is comparing the source query output with the target query output. After on top of this output, whatever the output is not matching from the first source query, those values are coming on top of your output screen.
Okay.
Is it clear? Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, in MySQL, does it work, sir?
No, minus is not working in the MySQL only. So I already told you in the previous classes. In the MySQL, for some reason, minus is given the error.
Oh, yeah.
But in other databases, it's working properly. But this is the one of the common query we are going to write as part of our real time. That's the reason I am trying to explain about the minus operator again one more time. Okay. Yeah. Now coming back to here, how we are going to perform the count check on top of this requirement. What is the meaning of count check here? I want to ensure that in the target table, as per the requirement, proper number of records are loading or not. That is the one I want to check. Now, as per the requirement, how many records we need to load into the target table? I want to load the 6 number of records. Now, from the target table, I want to get the number of records. What is the query we need to frame? From the target table, I want to fetch the number of records. Then what is the query we can able to frame? Simply we can give it as select count of star from student underscore target table. Now from the source table, I want to get the number of records. What is the query we need to frame? Can we give the query like this? Select count of star from student. Can I give the query like this or not? Which means this query will execute or not? First question.
It will execute, but it is wrong.
Okay, so query will execute without giving any syntax error, but try to give the answer. What is the output of this query?
Sir, both are giving single column, right? So 0 output will get.
You are saying 0 output. Other people?
Empty.
4 records. Any other answers? I am expecting output from everyone only because this is again one of the important things.
4 records will.
Wrong answer. These 2 are wrong answers. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. 4 wrong answer.
So
4 is the wrong answer.
It's a get error.
Error, no error. It won't give any kind of error. So what we are discussing so far here. So whatever the thing we discussed so far, based on that, we can able to give the answer.
6 records.
See?
6 records, sir.
6 records. 6 records or 6 value now.
Sorry, sir.
6 records.
So it's very simple and it will give 1 record. What is that value of the record? 6. How? It's very simple. What is the output of the first query? I am giving the count of star. Don't think that we are giving the star here. What I am giving? Count of star. What is the output of the first query? What is the output? It's given the output as a 6, which is nothing but 6 records we are having in the table. In the output, we are getting value as a 6. What is the second query output? Select count of star from the student.
2.
In the student table, actually, how many records we are having? 2, which is nothing but this query will give output as a 2. 2 record, not 2 records only. Is given the value as a 2. Okay. Now in between, I'm applying the 6 minus 2. Now tell me what's the output?
6.
It is giving 1 record with what value here? It is given the value as a 6 and it's not 0, it's not 4, it's not 4, it's not no. Yeah, this is the correct no error, but it's given the output as a 1 record. In that 1 record, what's the value we are going to get? We are going to get the value called as a 6 and again, just for understanding, I given this example, but as part of our requirement, is the correct query. You want to compare the count from the student table by applying the requirement or without applying the requirement? By applying the requirement, we need to check the count and so for that reason, finally, what is the query we have to prepare here is select count of star from this whole query we need to pass within the bracket. Sir, why you are giving this whole query within the bracket? What's the reason? As per the requirement on top of the source table, this is the query we have to prepare. On top of this output, we need to check the number of records and that number of records we need to compare with our target table. So we need to include all this kind of information here. What I'm doing here, we are going to perform the same count check, but I am giving it as a select count of star from where? From the student source table, but on top of the source table, we need to apply the whole requirement. How to apply the requirement here? By using the union operator, I'm applying the whole requirement. With that, we need to prepare the final query like this. On top of this, we are going to compare this output with our target table and this is the way we can able to perform the count validation. But why I am spending this much of time on top of this topic is indirectly what we are doing in this example. If you observe, we are giving this entire query within the bracket. What type of query it is indirectly? It's nothing but this is the one of the sub-query and earlier at the initial when we were discussing about employee table and department table, might be you are feeling that it's a kind of a very simple why we are discussing and but once you understand the basic, this is the way complexly we are going to prepare the queries as part of our real time. We are not doing anything. If you observe in this example, I want to compare target table count with source table count by applying the requirement. As per the requirement, we are applying the union operator. this entire query we are giving as input to the outer query. That's the reason here we are saying that we are using the sub-query concept. With the help of the sub-query concept, we can able to perform the validation. But while discussing about the sub-queries and in between, all these topics are came into the picture. But tell me, all these topics are important or we can able to ignore it? These are also very important because whenever you are going to use the minus operator, compulsory we have to understand all this information. For that reason, I am trying to explain all this information as part of discussing about this example. Okay. Any questions still if you are having, please ask me. Any questions? Now tell me, as a data engineer in the real time, if you want to perform the validations, what type of validations we are going to perform? Only data validations, or we are going to perform the count validations also? We are going to perform both data validations and also we are going to perform the count validations only. This is the one of the example how we can able to perform the count validations. Now with this example, just I want to give the one more information. We need to understand what are the different types of subqueries we are having. First type of subquery we can able to call it as a inline subquery. Second type of subquery we can able to call it as a nested subqueries. So we are having the two types of subqueries, and one we can able to call it as a inline subquery, and another one we can able to call it as a nested subquery. Nested subquery is nothing but, already we saw the examples. Whenever you are going to write subqueries by using comparison operators or in operator or not in operator, such kind of subqueries we can call it as nested subqueries. So whenever we are going to frame the subqueries with the help of the arithmetic operators or with the help of the in operator or not in operator, such kind of queries only we can able to call it as a nested subqueries. Now tell me, have we discussed about the nested query examples or not? So here, just will go back to the previous examples only. So in this example, what I'm doing? Select max of salary from employee table where salary not equal to select max of salary from employee table. We are writing a subquery by using which operator? Not equal to. What is the not equal to? This is a arithmetic operator, right? So this simply what we can able to say, this is the query we can able to call it as a nested subquery, and in the same way. What about this one? Select star from employee table where department ID in select department ID from employee table. Indirectly what we are doing here? Here also we are writing the subquery with the help of what? With the help of the in operator. So what we can able to say, this is also kind of a nested subquery, and very simple. Whatever the topics we are discussing so far, just we are classifying that whenever you are going to write a subquery by using the comparison operators or in operator or not operator, such kind of subqueries we can able to call it as a nested subqueries. Okay. In the same way, just we'll try to understand about the inline subqueries. Whenever you are going to write subqueries by using from statement, such kind of subqueries we can call it as inline subqueries. So at any point of time, if you are going to write the subqueries with the help of the from statement, such kind of subqueries, what we can able to call? We can able to call it as a inline subqueries, and for this also we discuss about an example. What's the example? This last example, if you see here. What we are doing in this example? Select count of star from. After the from, what I'm doing? I am giving this entire query within the bracket. Indirectly, what we are doing here? We are applying the kind of a subquery, but can be called as a nested subquery? As part of writing the subquery, am I using the comparison operator? No. Am I using the arithmetic operators? No. Am I using the in operator? No. Am I using not in operator? No. For that reason, this query we cannot able to call it as a nested subquery only. But what we can able to call? Whenever we are writing a subquery after the from statement, such kind of subqueries we can able to call it as nothing but inline subqueries only. So this is the example for the inline subquery. And just I want to give a small rule here. Whenever we are going to write inline subqueries, for those subqueries, we have to apply alias name. So this is the rule we need to follow for inline sub-queries and whenever we are going to write the inline sub-queries, for those inline sub-queries compulsory what we have to do here, we need to pass the alias name. Now in this query what we have to do, for this whole sub-query we need to give the alias name, otherwise what will happen, that query will throw the syntax error. Whenever you are going to write the inline sub-queries, for that inline sub-query we have to give the alias name, otherwise what will happen, that query will throw the syntax error. Okay, now just I will ask one question, try to give the answer. In previous classes, we discussed about one inline sub-query. Did you remember where we discussed about this?
Yesterday in the
Previous
end-to-end
classes, only yesterday only we discussed. Yesterday
Yes,
what
sir.
query we discussed?
end-to-end pipeline in the BigQuery when we are doing the base. Yes.
This one only. Yesterday, all same example we covered. So what we are doing here, if you observe, we are generating the data into the result summary table. As part of that process, we are applying the union all, and this query output we are giving as input to the outer query. Indirectly, we can able to call it as a sub-query. But as part of writing this sub-query, what we are using? We are using the from statement, or we are using the in or not in operator. We are using the from statement. So indirectly, what type of sub-query it is?
Inline sub.
Inline sub-query. Whenever you are writing the inline sub-query, compulsory what we have to pass? Alias name. Otherwise, what will happen? That query will throw the syntax error. Yesterday, just I given the alias name like that only. But today we are discussing about this topic. But I'm trying to say already we covered one of the example as part of our yesterday's end-to-end process only. So see here, whatever the examples or whatever the topics we are discussing, directly or indirectly we are going to use as part of our real-time projects. For that reason only we are spending this much of time on top of these examples. Okay. Any questions on the sub-queries or inline sub-query or nested sub-query? Please ask me now.
Sir, I have actually that Excel sheet that student target
Yeah, please.
and the 6 minus 2, right? Ideally, I expect the 4 records, right?
How you will expect the 4? Here we are doing the data violations or count violation.
Count value.
Yeah, if you are doing the count violation, how you can able to expect the 4? It is checking the value between the first query output and second query output, and with that it is given the output as a unmatched record from the first query. It's not a arithmetic that's the reason I'm saying that it's not a arithmetic operation. If it is arithmetic operation, might be you can able to expect the output as a 4. But it's a kind of a set operator. What is the purpose of the minus operator? It is giving the unmatched record from the first query output. Now what is the first query output? 6. Second query output? 2. It is comparing the outputs. 6 and 2 it is comparing, but both are not matching. For that reason, it is given the unmatched record of your first query. So it is giving output as a 6. Is it clear?
That means 6 is behave as a record, not a value.
Yeah, correct. So in the see, you tell me in the output query, we are in the output we are getting the records or we are getting what? Whenever we are getting any kind of query, we are getting the records only, right? So that record only comparing with the minus operator. As part of comparing the record, 6 is not matching with the 2. For that reason, it is given the value as a 6 into your output.
Sir, actually, see, this is the count, but coming to the table, okay. We are having 5 records in the first table. Second records, we are having 3 matched records. Okay. So the output should become only 3 records, right? Which is not matched one.
Yeah, that when you are going to perform, if you are given the star, what is happening? It is comparing with the count or it is comparing with the data?
Yes, correct.
It is comparing with the data. If you are given the star, so for example, see and in the same query, if I'm going to give it as a star here, and here also if I'm giving the star, then what will happen?
Compare all the data.
It will compare all the data. With that, whatever the number of records are not matching, it will give those number of non-matched. For example, if 4 records are not matching, it will give 4 records. I'm not saying the 4. It is given the 4 records into your output screen. Whatever the number of records are not matching, those many records are coming in the output, because here we are given the star. What is the meaning of star? It is comparing the data in the columns. But here what I'm giving? Count of star. What is the meaning of count of star? You are comparing the count between the first query output and second query output. For that reason, this query will give output as a 6 only.
Yes.
Is it clear? Okay. Any other question still? Okay. So this is all about the sub-queries, Sandy. So sub-queries are very simple. Once you can able to understand the basic concept, with that you can able to frame any kind of sub-query, and By depending on the type of the way we are writing the subqueries, we can able to call it as a inline subquery, or we can able to call it as a nested subqueries. And so we are having the two types of subqueries, inline and nested. Whenever we are going to write the subquery by using in operator or not in operator or comparison operator, such kind of subqueries we can able to call it as a nested subquery. Whenever we are going to write the subqueries by using the from statement, such kind of subqueries we can able to call it as a inline subqueries. Okay. Still, if you are having any questions, we can have a discussion. Otherwise, we can able to wind up for the day. Online people, any questions? Okay. Offline people, any questions? Okay. If no questions, we'll meet at 2:30 p.m. Okay.
Sir, regarding yesterday assignment,
Mhm.
when I trying to create a inline schema,
Yeah,
I'm
one
getting
second,
a error.
Yeah, whomever not having the questions, we can leave for the day and we'll meet at the 2:30 p.m. Online people, if you don't have any questions, we can drop. We'll connect again at 2:30.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please continue. No.
So is the one-on-one session hello?
Yeah, we'll connect it and don't worry.
Right, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, someone is asking the question. Please continue now.
When I trying to create a inline schema through SDK, I'm getting a fatal error, sir.
Might be somewhere you are giving the extra spaces or you are giving some kind of wrong keywords. That's the reason you are getting the fatal error.
Okay. Fatal flag, parsing error, unknown command line flag, hyphen T. I'm getting
Yeah,
this.
somewhere you are giving the wrong information. It might be you are giving some extra spaces or what. Please check it once. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, I have questions.
Yeah, please. Just 1 second. Just 1 minute. No, just 1 minute. Hello? Yeah, continue.
Hello.
Yeah, please continue.
Sir, that regarding inline subqueries, we can use the subquery in the